Hello and welcome to another vidcast. I'm Dave, and today we got ourselves a question from Kenny, and he asked, "What is the life expectancy of man?" Some say 120 years, but when you read Old Testament accounts, people live way longer than that, and we barely live past 55 in many American cases. Well, um, first of all, I think I should just disclaim and say that I'm not a dietitian or anything of that nature. I'm not a scientist or anything, but I do. You're right. The first thing that you made mention of was that some said 120, and it was very wise that you didn't go off of what they said, because um and then you did your research and say, well, listen, there's a lot of people that live past 120 in the Bible, so how could that be true? And so your first step of realizing that, hey, listen, something's not adding up. Who's right, man or the Bible? Bible being God. And we always know that let every man, let God be true and every man a liar. Okay, and so I'm going to give you a list of people on the side of the video here that show you the people who lived long before the flood and who lived long after the flood. Because this is what they're referring to of 120 years. Genesis 63 says that his days shall be 120 years. And so with the list of those that are after the flood showing us that they are living longer than 120 years tells us that it wasn't referring to the life expectancy of man. It was referring to how long those people had left to live. It's one of those cases of God just saying, well, you're only going to live 5 more years, and there's nothing else that nobody can do about it. Okay? And that was the case back before the flood. The wickedness of man grieved God so much that he says there's going to be 120 years left. And whatever natural destruction he sent upon this earth to show us that was the end of that time, I believe that God used a natural phenomenon to perform this feat, simply because a natural phenomenon leaves evidence and a miracle doesn't. You know what I mean? So if, the fact that God sent a flood, there's evidence of that flood everywhere throughout this earth. The fact that we're even suffering right now is direct result of that judgment. One of the things that we had back before the flood that we don't have now is the water above the earth. Okay? And the reason why that's necessary was because we have no protection against the X-rays that the sun shoots down onto us. And X-rays is very devastating, if you notice. X-rays are part of cancer-causing ailments in some cases. And so unless we want to walk around the world with a lead suit all day long, we have no real protection against the X-rays that the sun sends this way, and things of that nature. The Bible says that there is life in the blood, and if there's one thing that we do lack in the blood right now is tons of oxygen. We lack a lot of oxygen, and the proof of that is, if you ever seen the movie Jurassic Park, where I'm referring to the first movie, and they showed us how they made the movie, or how they made the dinosaurs. They found dead insects inside the casings of amber, and they bit the dinosaurs at that time, and they extracted the DNA so they could recreate dinosaurs here in this time. And then after that movie, there was a mad rush around the world just to find out where in the world could they find these ambers, because they thought that was a pretty good idea. So they did find some, and they discovered that also inside these ambers were encased was pockets of oxygen and air bubbles. and they found out that the air bubble contained more oxygen than nitrogen. The oxygen levels was higher than the nitrogen levels, whereas now the nitrogen levels are, I believe, higher than the oxygen levels now. And so we're breathing in poisonous atmosphere, unfortunately. And so there's that reason. The other reason is that we lack the care of our own bodies. We don't give our bodies that much attention and care as we probably should. A person that goes to the gym, you would think, oh, he's taking care of his body. To a degree, he is. Then you got a person that's a dietitian, and you would say, oh, she's taking care of her body. Yeah, to a degree, she is. But there's always that unknown ailment that we just can't protect ourselves from anymore. Again, like I said, we can't protect ourselves from the X-rays that are bombing down upon us. And so the thing is, but you can do what you can to take care of yourself, and it would increase your life expectancy a little longer. There's that old naval mindset from the engineers of vessels. They would tell you that, if you treat your boat like a lady, she will always bring you home. And this is that mindset that they use, because they know that even though the captain is in charge, it's up to them to make sure that the boat comes home. And so, how long are we supposed to live? That's very undetermined. The Bible doesn't say 150 years and that's it, or 120 years and that's it. The Bible just, live and let live. The Bible says that a person who lived past up to 150 years and beyond lived to be, died at a good old age, things of that nature. They died at a good old age and they gave up the ghost, whatever the case may be. But don't think of it that way. I mean, just live for God. And when you go home, go home. Go home to heaven. That's what you need to worry about. And then you don't have to worry about how long your life expectancy is there on the other side of heaven. And I hope you guys really like this little vidcast. I thank Kenny for sharing with us that question. If you have any more, please send that in. Also send in a prayer request, and I will pray for you. Send in a testimony, and I will share it with everybody so that somebody out there can be encouraged. Okay, and if you got a YouTube account, please click on the button over there, and you can subscribe to the show. And I'd love to see more subscribers come to the show. Okay. Thanks for watching. God bless.